Hi, everybody. This is Jason,
This is Pete.
and this is the Lost Legions podcast. And what are we doing today, Pete?
Weapons and all of their stat changes.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. We're a little behind the ball on this one because I was in the office, so we had to travel in. But Pete and I are super excited to talk about this, and we haven't really talked to each other about it. We're kind of holding our fire so we can talk to each other on air. Why don't we launch the article, Pete?
Sure. How do we do that? There we go.
Pete is the navigator. He's the
Guiding us through the warp
he
storm.
drives the ship. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So this is cool. Like, I absolutely love the picture on this article, and it made me super excited for it. But yeah, we could scroll down and we could talk about
Tons of changes, right?
yeah. Let me just run through just in case you're new to this. There are new stats or rework stats. A lot of them are pretty much the same. There's range, firepower is FP, how many shots gun gets per activation, the range strength instead of just strength, which I guess also insinuates to me there'll be rules around range strength versus regular strength so they could split them up, which is kind of cool. AP's arm penetration works the same way that we know. And damage, which is, we've talked about this before, but I think this is the key. This to me is saying there is no more instant death. They do also say later on in the whole thing that Eternal Warrior will reduce the wounds. So I'm thinking,
as we know it, it's gone, but it's a debuff to the weapon, essentially, isn't it?
Well, what I'm thinking it's going to do is you're just going to take one wound.
Oh,
90.
No, I don't. We'll come back to that because I think it's different. But hold.
Oh, I'm 100%. I'm 99% sure you're just going to take one wound.
I disagree, but cool. That's great.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
so let's talk about it when we get there. Okay, so let's scroll down.
What, do you want to talk about the change of the bolter, or how do you want to do it?
Oh, is this where they talk about the bolter? Yeah. So let's talk about the bolter.
Well,
okay, they give us some weapon examples. And the first thing I was like, oh my God, the bolter is going to be amazing now. Like, bolter pigs are going to be great.
Yeah.
Bolters now always have 2 shots because of the way they're changing the way that they work. Their, their firepower, the FP is just 2. So they just get 2 shots.
It looks like rapid fire's gone, right?
Yeah,
apparently. By the looks of this, unless some other guns might still have it. But
and this is what I was thinking was going to happen and hoping was going to happen, was there'd be a lot less special rules and a lot more of it would be roped into these stats, because I think a lot of people were worried that like a lot of the advanced stats and like all this changing and additional stats for weapons were going to make things more complicated. What I was hoping was exactly what I'm seeing. And I'm guessing that this will follow on for everything else, is that they're wrapping the special rules into the weapons. So like, this is just 2 shots. There's probably not going to be assault as well. Yes. So but bolters now have 2 shots, and they do point out, like, so special rules are not gone because Fear of the Legion's still a thing.
Yeah,
and just for the number they're saying here, it's still just +1 shot if you haven't moved, which is cool.
Yeah,
like,
perfect, right?
But I mean, dude, 60 shots all the time, even at long range, at 24. Yeah, like 24 inch. I mean, the bolt, to me, what this said was tactical squads just went from meh to hell yeah. Like, being able to reach out and slap somebody for 60 shots, that's a lot of shots.
Yes.
So, I mean, fear your Imperial Fists if they keep the same Legion traits. That's all I gotta say.
I think it makes sense. I think it'll speed up the game.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to work out who's in rapid fire, who's not. But that's going to speed up. But if we're going to stick with 4-turn games as well, I don't know how you feel about this, Jay, but if we're going to stick with 4-turn games, being able to reach more stuff more of the time is probably more important, I think, for making the game play more, for making each turn more what am I trying to say? More damaging, more effective, almost.
I'm okay, and I don't like 4-turn games. Like, I mean, so 4-turn games, if you're playing in an event, I like it much better because like Pete and I just went to an event like a week ago and we got to turn 2 on most of the games, right? Not just because it was a doubles game and there was a short amount of time allowed for the actual round. But yeah, I mean, if it's a casual game and there's no time limit, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's 6 turns, right? If as long as we're having fun, right? So
yeah, that's it.
But
your
yes.
bolters can reach more stuff more of the time. Turn 1 is now a cool thing, ultimately, right?
Yeah.
You move 6 or 7 if they still move 7, which they do from what we've seen, and then double tap out the 24. Awesome.
Let's look at the heavy bolter, which is kind of the next example that they give us, and I think that this also shows what they're doing with the rules. So we'll see follow on, and so it has a firepower stat of 3. And then this new special rule of heavy. Well, I don't know if it's new, but altered. And what heavy does now is it gives you a bonus to whatever stat is in the brackets afterwards if you don't move.
Yes.
So this now, if you don't move, gives you +1 firepower. So you get 4 shots per bolter. I mean, I was like, oh, heavy bolters are gonna rock. I did in my brain caveat and think, depending on how much they cost, right? Like they could still be too expensive, but hopefully heavy bolters will be really cool now.
It's hard to compare because you get 4 shots anyway currently, but if you move, you obviously snapfire all those 4 shots, right? So it sounds like snapfire's gone on heavy weapons, but you just get the basic stat line, right? It's kind of needs that, I think.
I think you're able to move and fire now, which is really, really, really cool. I think I like that now there's just a bonus for standing still to fire, which we'll see. It'll follow on after this.
Well, it looks like the weapon hasn't. It's hard to know because it depends on the strength of the toughness of the opponent. But if it's 4 shots in second ed when you're stationary anyway, and then it's 4 shots as an additional bonus if you stand still in third ed, then there's no real change there, is there? The bonus is being able to move and shoot 3 shots, right?
Yeah,
but
I think what happened was in first ed it was 3 shots, and then I think it went up to 4 shots. Nobody used them anyway, but now you can move and fire, which I think makes them far better, right? Like far better, in my opinion, especially for something like a heavy bolter, especially because you can throw them in like a veteran squad or something. Like it actually makes it a cool upgrade as opposed to, well, it's not going to do anything because these guys are going to move the whole time. Like,
I guess it depends on the
neat.
Yeah, and I think it depends on the purpose of the weapon, and we'll come on to the Lascannon in a minute because I think I think there's going to be a definite benefit to staying stationary as a Lascannon as opposed to staying stationary with a heavy bolter. So a heavy bolter feels like you always want to be moving and shooting with it, but there's an additional bonus for staying still. And the Lascannon probably feels the other way around, I think. But we'll come on to that in a second.
Yeah, because you could get to like where you need to be with this and then stay still and just really hose people.
Yeah.
With the Lascannon, maybe the other way around, right? Like you could move if you need to and still not lose. Why don't we scroll down and look at the Lascannon?
Well, one if you don't mind, one more thing.
No, go ahead.
The traits here, Bolt. We've not spoke about this at all yet, but what do you think Bolt means?
No, we did talk about this. I think it's just the same trait. We talked about this in a different video. It's just the trait that like Imperial Fists get like for +1 with bolt weapons. I don't think it's actually a new special rule.
Okay. Because I think it's a separate special rules and traits are separate. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's just like power. We'll see this with the power weapons. Will just be power.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm thinking, well,
no, it's
mean?
okay.
Does Bolt get suppressed? Does Bolt get pinning? Like, no. Okay. Awesome.
No, I know your mind was calculating, but yes, I think these are simply just the weapon traits that you'll activate special rules with.
This is a really awkward photo of the miniature. I don't like that at all, but he's got no head in the photo.
Yeah, it really is.
It's really put me off. But anyway, so Lascannons, do you want to talk to us a bit about Lascannons?
So the Lascannon looks pretty much the same. Like we see the range 48, firepower 1, range strength 9. Still takes me a second to read the actual things. I'm not like immediately recognizing them. Yeah. AP 1, and this is the interesting thing. Damage
AP 2.
1. Yeah, AP 2, damage 1. And like heavy gives you plus to damage. So you do 2 damage. So the interesting thing with these is you won't be insta-killing characters with 3 wounds, because I'm 99.9% sure that all instant death is gone. I mean, barring like a special ability. But I don't think doubling someone's toughness is going to insta-kill them anymore. So it'll kill Terminators, which is what it actually says in the chat. Because so we know Terminators have 2 wounds. It was just interesting, like the kind of things that they give out, like
Yeah.
the little hints that they give out about other rules, but not Saturn time Terminators, which have 3 wounds, right? So Lascannons are good. They've received a kind of a nerf, but this is where I think a different discussion needs to happen, and also this will carry on to the Melta chat when we'll start talking about the Meltagun next. I think armor value is still around, and I think that hull points are just increased slightly to reflect the damage characteristics on vehicles, but I still think there's going to be a table where you can auto blow somebody up, which I still think that the Lascannon's going to be able to blow somebody up on a 7.
Yes,
Which
I agree.
Totally what I think.
And it's got Armor Bane as a special rule there. And we talk a bit more about Armor Bane with the Meltagun in a second, don't we? Yeah, I think it's probably a nerf. It sounds like you can move and shoot your Lascannon for a 4 BS shot, but you're not going to single tap a multi-wound model because of the damage 1.
Yeah.
But but being able to move and shoot against vehicles, you're still doing 1 damage versus maybe 2 damage. Yeah, but maybe, as you say, maybe still be able to blow it up on us. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. But I think compared to the heavy bolter, as I was sort of saying earlier, I think this squad you want to keep stationary where possible. And it sounds like the heavy bolter, hey, you move 10 heavy bolter guys, you get 30 shots rather than 40 shots. Yeah, it's a trade-off, but how much difference is it actually making, right? You want to be probably moving and repositioning that squad at all times to be able to actually see the thing you want to shoot at. So
what is interesting, which we haven't seen, but while you're talking about this made me think about this. We possibly could see the heavy rule on vehicles. Yep. So what happens if you have a vehicle Lascannon? Does the vehicle do 2 damage if it stays stationary, right? Like, does this carry over to vehicles? Which could be really, really interesting. Like, we haven't even thought about it.
If, like, they get a Gravis version as well, right? So if they still have the Gravis Lascannon, that'll be interesting to see how that works.
Same thing with Dreadnoughts, right? Like, you're going to want to stay still to get your bonus. So, I mean,
kind of
I think, like...
Relentless, haven't they? That's kind of what they've done. In a weird,
they gave everybody Ghetto Relentless.
Relentless. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. Ghetto pseudo Relentless. Wonderful. So Meltaguns, devastating as ever. Oh, sorry, you please go.
No, man, if you want.
So they've changed by looks of things, right? So we've now got quite a bit of difference here. So they now do 3 damage, which I know damage stat isn't a thing anyway, but that I think effectively means it still can instant kill a character model. If we've seen Centurion having 3 wounds, if we've seen Satellite Terminators having 3 wounds, the majority of high toughness character elite troops should be able to be single tapped by a Meltagun. Do we think that's right?
Yes.
Side bust me, go.
Oh, I was just wondering is it the Armor Bane rule or the Melta rule that doubles the damage? I'm guessing it's the Melta rule. Because if it's the Armor Bane rule, then the Lascannons also double their damage.
Melta 6 grants Armor Bane.
Within 6, and doubles the damage to a Mighty 6.
So the Melta rule doubles the damage. So the Melta rule, so the number 6 is relating to the distance of the Melta rule there.
Yeah.
And then it doubles the damage of the Meltagun. Yeah, so Melta 6 means 6-inch range plus double the damage. So you go range 6, 6 damage. But it also gains Armor Bane, which is what the Lascannon has.
So you're thinking Melta is what is doubling the damage?
Yes. So I think...
Not Armor Bane.
Correct.
Okay.
Because otherwise... maybe.
Melta 6 grants armor bane within 6 and doubles the damage to a mighty 6. I think in that sentence, to me, it's reading more like Melta is the thing doubling the damage within 6.
Well, hang on. So currently, a Melter gains armor bane if it's within 6.
Yeah.
So I think it's the range that is granting armor bane, not.
No, I think it's Melta because it's Melta within 6. So if it was Melta within 18, it would do the same thing.
Okay.
I think.
Okay. So
if it was
are we
Melta
thinking Lascannon armor bane then is 2d6 pen for Lascannon?
I don't know.
Because if they've bumped up all the hull points on vehicles, then maybe that makes sense.
It could be.
Because armor bane as it is now is 2d6 pen, right? That's really interesting. I don't know. Either way, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So we're talking about you do potentially 6 damage for the shot, and you get to roll twice. 6, you get to roll 2d6 plus the strength to beat the armor value of the vehicle. We're assuming armor values are still a thing.
If it works the same, right? If armor bane also works the same, right? So, but it's cool. And then, so here's the other thing. 6 damage is enough to pop a Dorado or a Predator tank. So we know a Dorado has 6 wounds. We know a Predator tank has 6 hull points. And they do talk about hull points right below. So we know that they still have hull points, which also leads me to think that armor values are still a thing.
Agreed. Because otherwise, why separate wounds from hull points? Unless
because in 40k they just
wounds or hull points.
Yeah, exactly. Not every target will die so easily. Most tanks have more hull points than they did in the last edition, which I think a Predator had 4, right? If I'm correct.
Yeah. 3. 3
3
on the Pred?
I think Preds had 4.
Yeah, no, Preds had 3 because we played against one this weekend just gone.
Okay.
Because, Vindicators have 4.
Maybe it's just Karens that had 4.
Scorpius have 4, yeah.
Effects some guns are better at causing damage. For some units, Primates in particular have Eternal Warrior X, reducing the number of wounds. Oh,
yeah. See?
Now I
see
me
another beer.
X. Yeah, X.
Yeah. So I think you'll have Eternal Warrior 2, Eternal Warrior 3, and that's how many wounds you reduce the damage, or that's how many points of damage you reduce the damage income by. Per shot, or per weapon, or per wound pool, who knows? But that's how I think that will work. But yeah, just going back, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how Melta and Armor Bane work together then. And if Sunder Sunder isn't on the Lascannon anymore, right? So it's now just Armor Bane.
No, it's Armor Bane.
Armor Bane, as it stands, is the 2d6 pen. And that is what we use, and it's still carried over from Melta. So if it's still 2d6 pen on Lascannons at range is tasty. Like super tasty.
Yeah.
Depending on what it does, depending on what the whole, like you're right. If there's still roll of 6 and it blows up, if that's still a thing, then fine. I kind of feel like that might be overpowered though, right? Like it doesn't matter how many hull points you've got. If you've got 10 Lascannons coming in that 8 of them pen you, then
this is what makes me think that
roll 1/6 on 8 dice. You're gonna blow up anyway.
This is what makes me think Armor Bane might not be the same thing that we're thinking of. I mean, like the rule might not be the same.
Yeah.
Hey,
so do you think vehicles will now receive the tactical status symbols and tokens?
Oh, you mean like will they be stunned and suppressed? And
I wonder if we might lose a lot. Maybe we'll lose weapon destroyed. Maybe.
They've always ignored statuses, right? Same thing with dreadnoughts. So I can't see that changing.
Maybe.
Like they've had their own thing where they've been stunned or something like that.
I just think if they're moving to adding a physical token to the game to be able to see what's going on in the game from a top-down point of view, then it would be handy to see the same for the vehicles.
Well, I'm thinking, so like suppression, right? Like you're getting shot at, so you can't shoot back as much. Literally, like being in a rhino seems to ignore small arms fire. It seems to be the point, right? I'm just kind of logically thinking this through. No rules on this one. So I would guess that you can't be suppressed if you're in a rhino. The whole point of the thing is to drive your ass forward and dump your ass out. So I'm guessing that they won't be subjected to many of them. I don't know, though.
Unless armor values are still a thing, so that small arms fire doesn't affect you, so it has to be heavier fire with then those special rules that then does affect you. I don't know. Or maybe, who knows, right? I might be clutching at straws. I probably am, but yeah. Interesting. Anyway, massive side bus, but yeah.
No, it's fine. I think that's the interesting. Those are the interesting rabbit holes that these articles, like, I have fun going down. So,
well, we were briefly talking, weren't we, beforehand? It was like there's so much content that, so much conversation rather that comes from this one article compared to the others because you just spiral off into, well, what does this make this weapon do? Like the heavy X rule is crazy. Yeah. Should we carry on?
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, and then now I see what you mean about the Eternal Warrior thing too.
Yeah.
Cool. So where are we? Disintegrator rifles. So these are high risk, high reward weapons. They have Overload 1, which I guess is our new Gets Hot.
Yep.
I'd
assume
it says any rolls target your own squad. I mean, this really sounds like Gets Hot because Get Hot currently hits you at the current AP of your weapon. So it really, to me, strikes like AP. I mean, which makes Plasma, even though it's been nerfed, better because Plasma doesn't insta-kill your Marines. These Disintegrator rifles are going to be pretty dangerous.
I think they're pretty good. What do you think of them? It's the first time I've seen the profile.
I think they're terrible. But
really? Okay.
Yeah, I think but anything that insta-kills your Marines on a 1, like one bad roll. So let's say you have 10 of these guys. You roll 3 1s. 3 of them just instantly vaporized. Because it says they hit your own squad. If it hits your own squad at AP3, they're all dead.
Yeah.
So like
we're assuming you still hit at the same AP, or does it literally say that? Yeah.
No,
it's fair to assume. It's definitely fair to assume it.
It says it hits your own squad. Yes, I'm assuming that it hits your own squad, and I'm assuming it works like Gets Hot. So yeah, if that's the case, I think these are terrible because they're going to be a bumping point unless they're super cheap, right?
That's how Plasma always used to be fair. Plasma was always AP2.
Yeah, I didn't like it either until
it's fine.
I
think you're right.
Not terrible. Maybe terrible is a little harsh. I don't think they're great. I mean, the other thing about Plasma,
the fact that they're damage 2 is actually pretty tasty.
Plasma used to have rapid fire, right? So they put out a shit ton of shots, and at that point, there weren't 2-1 models. So Plasma could just bring the rain. Yes. So you would sacrifice 3 guys to Plasma. Then now Plasma is completely manageable, but overpriced. And these things are more like one-shot plasma rifles that do 2 damage now. I mean, they're not terrible. You could dump 5 of the guys out of a Rhino. I'm not super impressed with things that kill your own troops. I didn't love plasma rifles in 1.0 either. Like, I used them for some armies in some situations because you could infiltrate in, like Alpha Legion, for example, was the only time I used them because they get up close and they would just hose you with like 24 shots and you'd be like bummed.
So you don't think that the traits section means anything else? You don't think that Disintegrator has an additional rule to it? It's just that so they can tie back in weapons.
Disintegrator might have a special rule tied to it, but like in the current edition, Bolt, Power, and all of these other things are just traits that deal with triggering other special effects. So it could, I'm not saying it doesn't, but if it continues with unless they add another layer of special rules on, this is just the type of weapon that it is. Because like, oh my god, I keep wanting to call him the Space Wolf. The Salamander here in 2.0 is resistant to fire. So any traits with like the fire special rule, he's more resistant to.
Yeah, okay, got you. Yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting. I don't. The thing is, you roll a, you're up against a Terminator. You roll a single one. That's a dead Terminator. So it's
true.
So it's the weight you want weight of fire with these guys. I think it'll be interesting to see what the heavy disintegrator is. That was in the kit in the box set. I imagine that'd be like a 2-shot or 3-shot version, maybe a bit longer.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was going to go higher strength or more shots.
I kind of feel like if it was wounding on freeze, then I think it would be really good. But wounding on falls, for me, it's the damage. It's the damage being damage 2 is really, you just if you roll ones, then you're losing models, right? In a lot of cases, but.
I'm going to go back to, I don't like this if it works like Gets Hot, because the range strength is 4. So even though it's 2 damage, if it does work like Gets Hot, if it insta hits you, if it doesn't have to roll to wound, then it's terrible.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll see when the weapons when it hits.
As they say, if you're firing these against veterans, you're just going to nuke a squad of veterans immediately.
I mean, sort of. You have to hit, then you have to have a 4+ to wound.
Yeah. It's not actually that many shots, is it? It's 1 shot per guy, no. 7 hit, 3 wound. You kill 2 of your guys, you kill 2 of their guys.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm changing from thinking these are awesome to yeah. And what does overload
it
1
works
mean?
like
what does overload 1? What does overload 1 mean? Does that mean that means you get hot on a 1? That means you suffer the consequence of shooting your own guys on a roll of a 1?
Overload 1 means any roll of 1s.
So the 1 means the roll of the 1? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so you could be overload 2, and I guess you'd overload on a 2.
Yeah.
Target hits your own squad. It's not quite as bad though if you have to roll to wound yourself, but if it's automatic, like Gets Hot, then these things are terrible.
If overload is take an automatic wound at AP dash, then that's fine.
Yeah. Again. So we don't know how this works.
What overload actually is.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
We don't know. There's so much nuance to everything at the minute. It's great. Cool.
Cool. Let's move on to the exciting power weapons.
Yeah.
So let's move into melee weapons. This I thought was really interesting, and I have thoughts and feelings about this. So we have initiative modifier is the IM, then attack modifiers and strength modifiers. So bonus attacks, bonus initiative or minus initiative, and bonus strength. So a power sword is initiative I. Attacks A, so it's your attack stat. No bonuses.
Initiative 1, right?
I think it's supposed to be I. I think it's your initiative stat. Yeah.
Oh.
I thought that too, but I think it's an I.
Okay.
So
I'm trying to looking at the zoom in on it. Yeah. Okay.
Because look at the AM, the attack modifier is A, so I think they just put your characteristic in there. It's confusing.
Oh, that's really terribly designed. But yeah, okay. No, you're right, because you can see the damage 1. The 1 looks different in the eye. You're right, but that is super bad just to glance at. But fine.
So initiative I, this whole thing is not pleasing.
Once you understand it, it's fine. But the 1 in the eye is terribly similar, so I don't like that.
I don't love the way they designed the new stats layout. No. I think it is unintentionally confusing. Why not
just be dash? Just be dash if it's...
I don't know. I have no idea. No confusion at that point. Attack modifier is A, strength modifier is strength, so everything is just normal is your stats. And then AP 3, normal, damage 1, breaching 6, trait power. So it's exactly the same as it is right now. Which is cool.
Is it breaching or rending now?
Ooh, it might be rending. I think it's rending.
Or is well, we haven't seen rending yet at all. So
we don't. Who knows? Yeah. It kills a marine, or it stabs a marine on a 6-up. I don't know. Unknown. Power axe is initiative -1, which I think is really, really cool. It goes before a power fist, which is great. Attack modifier, normal, strength modifier +1, so like it is now. AP 3, breaching 5-up. What do you think about this?
I think it's a great reason to take a power fist, and I think that's what the game's needed. To be honest.
I mean, I'm
all
not.
power
I'm
axes
not
have been
super.
far too cheap in comparison to.
I
Meltaguns.
am not impressed with this. I think
Why?
it should be.
Breaching 4 up, maybe? It needs to be
Yeah,
some middle ground.
yeah,
5 up's not, it's not
yeah.
bad. It depends on the
No,
points
but it's
cost,
not
doesn't it?
great.
If it's the same points as a power sword, I think it's still pretty much the same.
It's not great.
Okay.
So
Let's do the maths on it. So let's say you got 10 attacks, you hit with half your hits, 5 hits. A power sword then wounds with half its hits, so 2.5 hits. You might get, it's a bad example this, but let's say you get 1 breaching out of that. Whereas power axes are going to hit the same. They're going to wound with 3 hits. Yeah, 3 to 4 hits. And then you got breaching 5 up. You're going to get guaranteed
statistically one.
Yeah, compared to like, I was being overly optimistic on the power sword getting a breach. So I don't know, man. If they're the same points, then
I don't think it's great. I don't think it's terrible. I don't think it's great. I think you're going to see far less. I think when you're going to see these is you're going to see them in assault squads when you want to take a weapon. But I mean, I think the good thing is that because they are far more in line with the power sword now, you're far more likely to see a power sword or a power lance. I think what this has done is
fist.
Well, I think you're going to see a power fist for other reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think also that the axes always needed the -1 initiative. I think that's far cooler. And now you're going to be able to kill a sergeant, theoretically, before he can attack. So let's talk about the power fist. You talk about the power fist, because you seem very hot on it.
I mean, it's as it is now, essentially. Right? So it's -3 initiative, so you're going to strike at initiative 1. +4 strength, so you're doubling your strength, so you're going to be winning on 2s against most things. AP,
but if you're, I was going to say, if your character and you're initiative 5, you're not going to be striking initiative 1. You're going to be striking initiative 2.
Very good point. Yeah, so if you have a power fist sergeant versus a power fist character, that's quite cool. If challenging,
and
it's the same. Yeah. Okay.
And if you're an Emperor's Children, my guess is you will have +1 initiative on the charge.
Yeah.
Again, so like you're now at 3. So I think it makes the game more interesting.
And then damage 2 is anything that was double out strength, I think, is gone. I think it's fair to assume. So we're now doing damage 2. So you're not going to kill a Saturnine Terminator, as it gave the example earlier with the Lascannon, but you are going to double out a veteran. You're not going to double out a Centurion, as we know the stat lines earlier. So yeah, I think that's interesting. And
no, the Centurion's got 3 wounds now.
Yeah, that's what I mean, right? So
okay.
So if you've got a power fist on a sergeant, and we saw the sergeant profile in a video earlier in a release earlier in the week, they've only got 1 attack now. So if you're charged, you've got 1 power fist attack, you cannot kill that Centurion charging into you, for example. Which is quite interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's going to change a lot. But the biggest change here is the initiative modifier, for sure, and then the damage stat. So the initiative modifier makes the game so much better, because it's kind of sad that it's like, yeah, I'm just unwieldy, so I'll just do your shit now, and then we'll figure out the end. Which is
the initiative modifier, I think, is way cooler.
Let me just insta kill you at the end of the combat, because I'm all in cataphractic 4+, whatever, right? So it's like, I'll just roll all of my Thunderhammer hits at the end, which is kind of meh. So having the initiative modifier means that there are other more flavorable weapons that can creep in. That might be like, maybe a power scythe might be -2 initiative or -1 initiative, like a power axe, but a heavy version. Lightning claws will be fun. I imagine a lightning claw might be something like +1 initiative, +1 attack, and maybe cost a bit more now.
I bet you it's just going to be +2 attack modifier.
Do you reckon it'll just be power sword with +2?
Yeah. I think it'll be. I think it's going to keep breaching.
Weapons might be plus initiative.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Okay, and then what about the breaching rule? Because that's what they have at.
I don't know. Like I don't know if breaching and rending are going to be what they're going to do with the difference with that. Like, I mean, effectively against Marines it doesn't matter, but against vehicles it does. So they might be purposely making this.
Don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. If it stands the same way, but they might be purposely making this so you can't pen vehicles with these things. So you need more vehicle attacking weapons, right? So they might be purposely designing weapons to be less effective against vehicles.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say, because I know you love noodling on this stuff. What if there's initiative modifiers with, say, attacking into cover and things like that now? So, or defending. Like, there could be initiative modifiers for the way you do things.
Oh, I mean, we already know
Yeah.
from the news article earlier in the week that all of the tactical statuses mean that you are disordered, and in more cases than not means you strike last, right? Which,
well, it might be minus your initiative.
Well, exactly. The way they worded it wasn't like you strike last if you suffer these. It was like you more than likely will be striking last, which means maybe you get -1 to your initiative or -2 to your initiative or something along those lines. So yeah, that's really cool. It'd be cool to see how frag grenades work, because like the whole, because now we've actually got initiative steps rather than frag grenades into cover just mean you just strike at initiative. Maybe it means that frag grenades. Maybe like charging into cover, you strike -2 initiative, but frag grenades mean that you strike -1 to initiative or something like that. It might be cool to see that there's different.
Well, who knows, right?
So, yeah, but different stepping
I
stones on this whole track would be really cool. Yeah.
Your example though is my guess is that it'll be like something like -2, and then it cancels it out like it does.
Everyone's got.
I think effectively it'll be the same.
Yeah.
But like. I think it is. You say that, but Terminators.
But I can take the grenade harness on a lot of units. Anyway,
but yes.
Yeah.
Well, but now like you'd have to take the grenade harness with your power fists, because you're going to be in a situation where the other guy's waiting there with power fists, and you're going to charge in, and you would have grenade furnaces on your power fists. Well, you're going to need them. So I think. It could be super interesting. Anyway, the last thing I just wanted to bring up was the close combat weapon is the last thing, which is basically just you use your strength, no AP, nothing.
So
assume.
I'm really glad we spoke, because when I glanced at this earlier today, I was like, you always get +1 initiative for having a basic. I was like, so what? So what strikes at initiative 4 now? I genuinely thought that was a 1. So. If in the rare circumstance anyone who designed this is looking at this, just change that to a dash, like you've done with the AP there. just make that the same. Like what?
I have no idea why they didn't do that. Like strange. it would have made so much more sense. Like to just add.
I genuinely was like, yeah. So you're always initiative 5, and I was like, oh, there must be like some sort of heavy-ish weapon that strikes at base initiative. That's why they're giving. Close combat.
Well, especially because they're bonuses and minuses, right? So, like, why not just have 0 or dash, like just you're saying?
Just dash makes sense.
Yeah.
They're happy to use it in certain places with the special rules in the AP, but not on those 3 key stats, apparently. But yeah, all in all, what do you think?
I'm excited. I think this, like, you and I noodled on a bunch of stuff, and there's a bunch of potential with all of this stuff, right? Like it could be really fun. Like you could see tons of new weapons being effective. You could see new combinations. I see the potential for this to be amazing.
Yes.
What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think we talked about it in a previous video before the 3rd edition launch, I think, where we said that one way to balance 2.0 would just be to revisit just the weapon stats alone and change that up, and you'll make the game so much more interesting. So the fact that they're very heavily focusing on this, I think that's awesome. So
yeah. Oh yeah, because I think we were talking about how like everyone takes freaking Lascannons now, right? Like it's like Lascannon, Thunderhammer. Like it was useless to take certain, well, not useless, but it was so suboptimal that everybody had the same weapon sets, and it made it kind of boring. But now there's so many weapons to do so many different things. So hopefully it's going to be a lot different and more of a Wild West.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. I think like the fact that, just going off on one a little bit here, but the fact that we now know Flamers have the panic rule. I dropped a message in our group chat. Does pintle mounted Flamers on tanks now like have a place like to stop a charge and stuff? Like you got like, hey, if a pintle heavy Flamer is like panic too, like, hey, yeah, you're charging in, lose a guy and take a leadership -2. Don't power fist my tank. Like, I don't know, but that's the point of it, isn't it? It makes these weapon options like so much more viable now.
Well, it makes a heavy
Hopefully,
flamer
I'm
fist
guessing that.
on. Yeah, no, 100%. But it makes a heavy flamer fist on a dreadnought a cool idea if it works like we think it does, as opposed to now where you're just like, oh, it's just pretty much useless.
Well, I was looking at
too sad I modeled this in there.
I was looking at my Leviathan with dual Leviathan storm cannons, and now I'm thinking, oh,
I've disappeared.
You've disappeared.
I don't know why. But it's okay, I'm still here. Continue, we're almost done anyway.
We're at the wrap up, but I was thinking the dual Leviathan cannon, does it make sense to maybe consider the Flamer nipples rather than the Volkite nipples now? Because if he's going to get charged, he's useless in combat without a combat weapon. So now he might be able to deter an enemy instead, right? So there's a lot of nuance, but Jason's gone, obviously. He's
mysteriously disappeared.
He's had to go for a toilet break. Anyway, so bye from me and a bye from Jason.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.